Hello everyone, this is Jason with Phase Shift Games, and this is the official Phase Shift response to the global shipping crisis. So bottom line up front, I know some people don't like long video updates, so the bottom line up front, we are not forcing our backers to pay more at this time for shipping. But we have a strong request to participate in what we think will be a very fun mini campaign with a really cool reward for you, which I will now fully explain in this video. Many publishers out there right now, many Kickstarter creators who you likely have encountered, other Kickstarters that you're backing, are issuing similar messages to their backers saying that they're requiring an additional X dollars, anywhere from $5 to $10 to $15, to cover the shipping crisis impact. That's common. That a lot of other publishers are doing that, and we entertain that. We have to consider all angles. But what we hope is that what we're about to explain to you will not only cover the issue, but also afford a really fun and unique opportunity for all of us, yourselves and us included, to do something really special. So that's the bottom line up front. So what's the background here? What the heck are we talking about? What's this shipping crisis? Well, I'm not going to rehash a full explanation of this global shipping crisis. It's been discussed many times. We've covered it in many of our previous Kickstarter updates. In fact, if you want to go back to our previous Kickstarter update, number 31, which was our July update, that included testimonials from a whole bunch of experts in the industry. James Hudson, Board Game Co., Quackalope, Patrick Leader, and a few others. So there's a bunch of links there. There's links out to what they call the freight index. I mean, this isn't just a theory of, are things really as bad as they sound? They are. It is so bad. It is laughably bad what is happening, and it is factual. There is no sugarcoating of this situation. The global shipping crisis is real, and it's significant. So anyway, if you want background beyond what I'm going to cover here today, go check out the previous update. Click on any of those links. There's a bunch of stuff out there, and you can hear it from a bunch of different people in the industry. I will offer one quick analogy just to put it in terms that maybe most of you can understand a little closer, and that's your home. If you have a home and you pay a mortgage and you have real estate taxes, like most of us, you pay your real estate taxes every year. Maybe for you, it just gets rolled into your mortgage and you don't really notice it. But if you're looking, real estate taxes can go up, right? And let's say you're paying, this is probably a very high amount, but just for easy math, let's say you're paying $4,000 a year for real estate taxes for your home. And it goes up by 5%, so it goes up by $200. Okay, maybe accept that that's normal inflation or what have you. Goes up 10% this year, $400 more. Like, that starts to sting a little bit, but maybe it's within tolerance. Now it goes up 20%, $800 more on your taxes. That seems exorbitant, right? At some point, let's say it goes up 50%, another $2,000. Am I doing my math right? 20% would be 800. Yeah. 50% would be another $2,000 on top of your $4,000 that you're paying for taxes. At some point, you're calling the town, you're calling the state, you're like, I'm going to back, like, what the heck is this? This is nonsense. It's ridiculous, right? What if it doubles? It goes from $4,000 to $8,000 a year. You're through the roof, right? Well, what we have to deal with right now is, there's a good analogy there, there's a good corollary, because our taxes in this case is the cost for freight shipping from China to all the different regions that we have to go. And freight shipping for us has gone from $4,000 for a container to put on a giant boat to about $20,000 or more per container. That means 500% increase. The increase has quintupled. That is not a lie. That is not an exaggeration. That is the global shipping crisis. That's just a piece of the global shipping crisis, but it's the piece that matters to us as publishers right now. There's a whole bunch of other dynamics. Anyway, again, not rehashing all the background and why we got here and how we got here, but here is where we are. And here is why we have this update today and this video. And so now let's go deeper into what we're offering and what we're hoping is going to be really cool that comes out of this. First, a quick status update on the campaign. This is the Dungeon Drop Too Deep campaign, which includes Tavern Tales, standalone game. It includes Wizards and Spells, 5-player expansion. It includes the Treasure Trunk and a whole bunch of other little mini expansions. The mass production is done. So the inventory should be loaded on boats within 2 weeks. We are not holding anything up here because of this, what I'm about to explain to you, this idea, this mini campaign that we're going to run here. Product will continue to move out of China and it will reach your doorstep. Okay, so that's not at risk. But unfortunately, things aren't as simple for us. Phase Shift, we have to deal with this massive problem and this increase, and hence this update and what we plan to do. All right, so what do we plan to do? We believe we've come up with something super creative, an approach to addressing this crisis. And so we are proud to announce our special fundraising project and expansion pack, Shipping Shenanigans. All right. So the general principle here is that we are asking you to join in pre-ordering this expansion pack, which is specifically designed to help fill this financial gap now, like within the next week or so. That's what we are asking. Again, not requiring anyone to participate. If you don't want to spend any more money, we don't need that at this time. We hope that enough people will be very interested in this, will jump on and support and participate, so that everything just continues to move and everything's copacetic. So within the next week, 2 weeks at most, we hope to get a sizable portion of this population, and maybe even additional people that didn't back the last campaign, to be interested in pre-ordering this expansion pack. This product will ship later on with Drop Drive. Drop Drive is our next campaign that's coming to Kickstarter in a couple months. You've seen announcements probably from us. We've started to talk about it. We've started to drip, bits of artwork out there. It's going to be an amazing release. It's the spiritual successor to Dungeon Drop. And there's a whole live stream series that Scott and I, the designer, have been talking about, all the cool aspects of Drop Drive. You can check that out separately. This isn't a promotion for Drop Drive, but that's the campaign that's coming up. And this special Shipping Shenanigans expansion pack is something that we're asking for you to pre-order now, because we need that funding, and I'll explain how this all plays in. We need that funding to help fill this financial gap, and the product will ship with your Drop Drive pledge. So first, I will explain all the fun aspects of this special expansion, and then I'll get into the specific details about why we believe this will work and how you should proceed. So the pack will come with unique items for both Dungeon Drop and Drop Drive. First up, we have a nice, simple new class for Dungeon Drop, the Merchant Captain. Now, you'll notice in the picture that's popped up on your screen, and first of all the artwork you're going to see here today is still prototype. These are just ideas, but you can see that we've been working on this. That's pretty close to what you'd expect a class would look like. So the Merchant Captain, we haven't filled in the final details of the ability. What is this class going to do in Dungeon Drop? And the reason we haven't filled it in is because we are going to treat this no differently than all the other community-created content during our Kickstarters. This is something we think we do really well, and we think you all really like working with us on, which is helping us design content for the game. So we could stub in any one of the several abilities that we've got in our backlog that we want to build into the game, but we want to get ideas and from the community and have a voting process and do the whole thing that we do during our Kickstarters that you love to interact with. So let's work with you to come up with and vote on the best idea for this new class. Now, obviously, in some way, it should relate to moving cargo from one place to another, or maybe in Dungeon Drop, acquiring sets of certain treasure, or something to do with chests, treasure chests, or something, right? We want to tie in the theme of the shipping situation that we're in. And I'm sure you, the community, will come up with some great ideas for this. Next up, we have the most terrifying form of a storage container ever conceived. I give you the Monstrous Mimic. This is a new huge monster for Dungeon Drop, Drop 2 Deep. It'll match the same style of all the other huge monsters that we've introduced in that expansion. And once again, we look forward to working out the details with you. What could this Monstrous Mimic do? We could imagine 10 things off the top of our head that this monstrous mimic could be doing in the dungeon, moving around, gobbling up treasure, and consuming heroes or other monsters. Who knows, right? Anything's possible. But there will be a new huge cube that comes with this. There'll be full color heat printing to play with here, so this will be really wicked cool. All right, so that's the second thing for Dungeon Drop. And that brings us to Drop Drive. Now, one of the coolest aspects of Drop Drive, if you haven't been following as closely, one of the coolest things that we have in the game is called anomalies. And these are special places in space with a special component where a player can navigate their ship in an attempt to investigate one of these anomalies. Now, keep in mind, in Drop Drive, you have an actual ship that's on the table permanently. You're navigating around in this universe. So it's a very different game from Dungeon Drop, even though it shares the same drop mechanic. So these anomalies are meant to be pretty impactful to the game. It's not just a simple card that you draw, an event card that says something like, hey, this turn, no player can sell blue asteroids, right? A lot of games have those simple events that happen. No, this is things like the sun has exploded, flip it over, and now it's a black hole, and it changes the game like this. I'm kind of making it up on the fly here, but that's what these anomalies do. Big game changers that really shake up the game and drip with theme, all the while being easy to execute and interact with. So we will now add a special anomaly to Drop Drive for the Galactic Shipping Hub and the Wreck of the Everstar. Now, these may be two separate anomalies, or maybe they're combined into one anomaly. That's still to be determined. But what we can say for certain is that these will both be in this pack, and they will come with very unique components intended to be used when either or both of them come into play. So we could imagine things like, look at the Everstar there. You know, that maybe there's a bunch of crate components that you have that when the Everstar comes into play and collides with this asteroid, you drop a bunch of crates over the Everstar, like where it collided. And that gives players a new opportunity to, if they're in that region of space or they want to drop drive into that region of space, they can collect some of these crates and store them in their cargo hold and maybe deliver them back to the Galactic Shipping Hub, or perhaps go and sell them off to pirates for other special perks or something like that. We haven't worked out the full details yet, but time is something we have on our side. So we can invest our time and make this an amazing mini expansion. By the way, any correlation between this and a real-world shipping vessel that may or may not have crashed in the Suez Canal earlier this year is purely coincidental. Okay, so that's the gist of what we want to put into the pack. A lot of fun content for both Dungeon Drop and the upcoming Drop Drive. So let's talk about some of the deeper details. First, why do we think this will work? totally valid question to ask. This pack, while we're gonna pack in, you know, really valuable, interesting content, rich content for both of these games, it's small, it's lightweight, there's no box that we need, it's easy to produce, it just takes time from us, which we have. So the reason that small and lightweight, you're going to hear those words a few more times before the end of this video. Those are the key words. When we talk about shipping and the cost that it takes to freight something on the ocean and or ship to your house, it's size, it's weight. That's it. That's all that FedEx, UPS, USPS, DHL, that's all any of them care about, size and weight. They don't care how much the product costs. So by us building an expansion pack like this with the explicit purpose of fundraising for to help cover this gap, this financial gap that's now been created for us, by making something small and lightweight where we pack in a lot of value, which takes more time, caring, and love from us, which we know we can provide, and I think you've all come to trust that that's what we do very well. So we're going to build all that time, effort, and love into the product, but to actually produce the product and ship it is actually not a problem. It's not where the big expense is, because we can pack in hundreds into one cardboard container. So that's why we think that this is a great approach, a very creative way to give you something really cool, ask for some assistance, you know, financially. You get this great reward, and it's not going to add to our problem. So how will this work? Over the next week or two, basically we've added a new item to our web store called Shipping Shenanigans. It has that cheesy logo that you saw earlier. Not a final logo, by the way. That was just really quick. Just wanted something to put out there. But we added that item to our web store. In the US store, it's $12.50, and in the Europe store, it's $15, which includes VAT, value-added tax. So you'll find those already at www.phaseshiftgames.com, and you just click store or go /store and follow the path for either the US store or the Europe store. If you're not in Europe, you use the US store because we don't have VAT issues. So follow the path for your region and add that item to your cart. Check it out. Checkout, and you know, we accept all major credit cards. If you haven't ordered from our store already, it's a very standard web store, and it's very easy. So you're going to simply place an order on the website, and then what we're going to do is match up the email address from your order with the email from your Kickstarter pledge for Drop Drive, and then we'll add this item to your pledge for no cost because you've already paid for it. That's it. You place the order on our website, and we put the item in your pledge's cart in BackerKit or whatever pledge manager we use when the time comes. If you want to order any additional items from our web store at the same time, that is no problem. This item will not hold up any other items that you may wish to purchase. That's fine. All right, so I've kind of imagined some questions that you may have after watching this video. So I'll rattle through 5 questions and then we'll close. First, what will happen if enough people do not participate in this special campaign, this special expansion? Okay, so that's the worst case scenario, that we don't get enough people that are interested in what we just described to you. And if that's the case, we may have to go back to the people who did not participate and ask for an additional $5 to $10. We want to avoid this at all costs, but we would be stupid to tell you we won't do it because we have a gap. I didn't actually tell you the numbers, but I meant to. The gap for us is $50,000, and here's the cold hard math. We need 2 shipping containers. It's really 1.5 going to one place and half going to another place, and then 2 small orders. Doesn't matter. We have roughly 2 shipping containers worth of product. Those containers in the past would have cost us $10,000, which is built into all the pricing. Now, each of those containers costs us just about $25,000 a piece. Actually, it's even more, because the grand total that I just got from the quote from the logistics partner was just north of $60,000. Now, that includes not just the shipping containers, but also inland freight, taking the containers and the product out and putting stuff onto trucks and, you know, going to the middle of the countries, because we used to put those shipping containers from the docks onto a train, and then the train takes the container the rest of the way. But we can't do that anymore, because that's a whole other piece of the problem here, is because they need those shipping containers back as soon as the boats land and the containers are unloaded with their product. They need the containers to go back to China to get more product. And so they're not letting us put them on the trains without exorbitant additional fees. So bottom line is, for us, the final freight quote was $60,000, where in the past it would have been $10,000. Maybe 12 to 15, but you can see that the numbers are so wildly different. So we have a gap in the middle of $45,000 to $50,000. That is $50,000 that we're out, and that is not anything we could have ever planned for. So that's why we're asking for this campaign, and that's why I have to tell you, if we don't get enough interest in this, yeah, we're gonna have a real problem. We don't have that amount sitting idle, ready to just pay for this extra shipping. But we really hope to avoid having to ask all backers to pay something, because we really think most of you listening to this video probably want that pack that we just described at the rate that we explained. So we're pretty confident that this is going to work out and that we won't have to go to that worst case scenario. How are we assuring that this expansion isn't just going to add to the shipping problem? Well, I kind of talked about that earlier. This expansion pack is small, it's lightweight, there's no box, it's just going to be in a bag. It'll have like a cardboard top, or it'll look nice in retail or whatever if it goes there. But it's easy to produce. It just takes time from us, and time we are willing to put in. It's money that's the problem, not time. How are we assuring that Drop Drive will not have the same shipping problems? That, I think, is the million-dollar question, and every one of you would be right to ask that, and I think we have a solid answer. And the solid answer is, once again, and I hate to just sound like a broken record here, but we benefit from the fact that our games... Here's a prototype box for Drop Drive. It's the same cubicle size of Dungeon Drop and Tavern Tales and Drop Too Deep. So our games are relatively small and lightweight, the two magic factors from a shipping perspective. So when it comes time to get to the Drop Drive campaign, we will be making very specific considerations for the price point, for the cost for shipping, how we handle shipping. Shipping will be calculated during the Pledge Manager, not applied during the Kickstarter. That's a key distinction, and I can explain why later on. Actually, I think I went over all that in a previous live stream. But there's a better and a safer and a more forensically accurate way to calculate shipping. That's save it till later in the Pledge Manager. And prior planning. I mean, you can tell the thought that we're putting into this, right? We are versing ourselves in the details. We are researching and fully understanding what's going on here. We now have crystal clarity as to the source of the problem and what the problem is manifesting as. We don't have a crystal ball as to fast forward a year or 2 years. Where will we be? Will it be worse? Will it be better? All indications are that this will balance out over time. But right now, we have to plan for the worst. So all of this will be taken into consideration during the Drop Drive campaign. And here's a key thing. Most likely, let's say that we launch the Drop Drive campaign in, I can't do my quick math right now, my calendar math. It's end of July, let's say it's end of September, beginning of October, somewhere around there. Chances are we will not offer a treasure trunk for Drop Drive as part of the initial campaign. We wanted to. We love the treasure trunk that we made for Dungeon Drop. And we expected to go right from the beginning with Drop Drive with a treasure trunk, because we're going to have mats, we're going to have walls, we have the box, there's going to be some mini expansions. So it made sense to just go to the Kickstarter with the treasure trunk right away. We'd call it something else. I don't know what we call it. Some kind of special crate. Well, anyway, we're most likely not going to offer that as part of the Kickstarter, because it's a gigantic box compared to this, and that's the problem. We would be stupid to add a big box storage solution as part of the campaign while we're talking about all the shipping problems. Shipping this, we're in the safe zone. Shipping a treasure trunk, not safe. And that, unfortunately, is part of why the Dungeon Drop campaign became such a problem that we're dealing with right now. So that's why we don't think that Drop Drive will have the same shipping problems. We're doing all of our homework and our math, and we'll be well prepared. Next question. What if we get more purchases of this special expansion than we need? Let's say this is like the best scenario, right? All of you and a whole bunch of other people really want this Shipping Shenanigans expansion pack. So what happens if we get so much interest that we exceed what we need? Well, here's the thing. Unless we get to $60,000 plus, there isn't any profit for us. All we're doing is recuperating our loss from this whole crisis. So if we actually get to $60,000 or more, we'll figure out a way to give back to you, to the community. I don't know what that would be. I could imagine 5 different ways that we do something. What I can tell you is we will be transparent with you. I will show you screenshots straight from our web store reporting that shows how many of these things we've sold. If we actually get to that point where we brought in 60,000 or more minus taxes, we'll let you know. We'll find a way to give back to the community. I mean, that would be a lot of support, and that would be great. So we'll cross that bridge if we come to it. And another good question would be, will this expansion, Shipping Shenanigans, be available for a cheaper price later on? Like during the Kickstarter campaign, are we going to offer the same thing to backers for a lower price than what we're asking you to pay now? Hell no. To do that would be a massive disservice to all of you. We will likely offer this expansion during the actual Kickstarter campaign because it's going to be a great expansion. There's a lot of really cool stuff in there. It cross-sells Dungeon Drop and Drop Drive. There's a great marketing angle in there. Listen, that's not lost on us. That's, this is us being creative and finding something compelling that you want to support us with that also solves this other financial problem. So we want it to be something that everyone wants to get, but we will not offer it later for a lower price than you're paying now. So please understand that we realize that would be a crime to you. That would be like, why did you support us now when you could just get it cheaper later? It will not go that way. And that's why we're comfortable asking you to please support this now, because now is when we need to address this crisis. All right. In closing, that's it. Why are we doing this? Because we're phase shift games, and we shift dimensions wherever we can. We push the envelope of what's expected. We apply creativity and fun in every way we can, even in the face of a massive, laughably bad crisis situation. That's not to make light of this. I'm not saying that this is a laughing matter. Much the opposite. It's beyond the level of painful, and it is truly laughably bad, because when I explained before that analogy with your home's tax, if you have a home and you pay taxes, literally think to yourself, what if your $4,000 in real estate taxes suddenly became $20,000? Because that is literally the corollary to what we're dealing with here. It's laughably bad. We hope that this comes as an exciting opportunity to further support a publisher that you love. We hope that this comes as good news, not bad news. And we hope that you'll look forward to engaging with us in fully designing and fleshing out these new content pieces together. We love doing that with you during the Kickstarters, and we're going to love doing that with you over the next short while. We'll work on the timeline for that. Together we face this crisis, and together we will emerge from it. So, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you for your time and for sticking with us throughout this difficult time. Cheers. We'll see you soon.